Well, g'day guys and welcome back to the channel. So as you can see, today I'm test riding the CFMOTO 800 MTX, which has kindly been lent to me by the guys down at Moto Adelaide. So if you've got nothing better to do and you're interested in this bike, stick around for the video.
Empty your mind, be formless, shapeless, like water. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
Okay, thanks for staying tuned. Let's fire up the bike and take it for a quick spin. Stick around. Well, thanks for staying tuned, guys. First impressions, what a comfortable bike. This is 800 cc's, which compared to my normal ride, which is the 1250 GSAs, you know, it actually doesn't feel like a small bike. And I guess it's not 800, I guess it's sort of a mid-range bike. So this is the CFMOTO MTX, which is different from the MT. So the MTX is more aimed at adventure riding. Hang on, we'll just navigate the roundabout. So yeah, this is more aimed at the adventure rider. Whoops, daisy, I'm not used to riding this bike. And it's not really a touring model. It's more sort of aimed at the country lanes, dirt tracks, that sort of stuff. And it's kind of like comparable to the KTM 790, and to that end it actually shares the same engine. So this is badged up as a CFMOTO 800, but it's actually the KTM 790, or before you correct me, it's actually the other way around, because CFMOTO make the 790 engine for KTM. They slap the KTM badges on it, but they also put it in this bike here. So first impressions, got plenty of power. What I would say is I'm used to riding that sort of flat twin, the boxer engine, which has got a lot of torque. I'm sure this has got some torque, but you need to keep it revving. The other thing is we're riding a chain drive, so that throws a different sort of aspect to it as well. First impressions though, I like the wide bars, I like the seating position. It's got a rally seat, which means it's a one-piece seat. which is great for adventure riding. Not too good if you have a pillion on, you know, as they tend to slide into you, unless it's a good looking young lady and you want to hit the brakes a little bit harder and get her to give you a bit of a cuddle. Alright, this is one of my favourite local roads. It's a pretty good road for hooning on, and a great road to test the handling of the CFMOTO. Yeah, it seems to pull quite well, and it is very, very nimble. I'm just taking it nice and steady. It's not my bike, it's been loaned to me today, so I don't want to put it down on its side. Alright, a little bit of a squirt, and yeah, it certainly does go, that's for sure. Again, you really need to come down the gearbox for the tighter, twisty stuff. Keep it revving, but it's a piece of cake to ride. Oh, I could become a complete hooligan on this bike. Yep, so far I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So, given the current sort of demise of KTM, I don't know if they've gone under yet or into liquidation, you know, but I did speak to one of the guys in the dealer, and he said the KTM owners are buying all their accessories and stockpiling just in case. So if they do go under, this might be a replacement for those that were hoping to get a KTM, and the sticker price is a lot less. So this thing comes in at just a tad under 15 grand, which is not bad because it's got things like electric heated grips. I think it's got a heated seat, not that you really need it in Australia, but it's definitely cool to ride. Great when you give it a little bit of a squirt. One thing I've noticed is that I'm wearing polarized sunglasses. Now obviously you're not going to be able to see it on the camera, but when I pull up my visor I can't see the TFT, it goes almost completely black, so that might be something just to bear in mind. So I've got the windscreen on its highest setting, and as you can see the windscreen is about the size of a postage stamp, you know, and the TFT is like an iPad, and it barely gives you much wind protection. So I don't think I'd want to do a big trip on a highway without clipping some sort of deflector on the top of that, or maybe there's an aftermarket screen. But for this sort of riding, it's perfect. You don't really need that wind, you know, that wind protection, I don't think. So I watched a few reviews from people like in the UK, a couple from Australia, and you know, I was looking through their likes and dislikes, and just to get some ideas, really, just out of comparison, really. And I have to say I don't really agree with any of them. The TFT got a bit of bad publicity, but the only thing that I would say is that polarized sunglasses issue. So you know what, don't wear polarized sunglasses. Other than that, I had a bit of a play around with this with Lockie, who works for Moto Adelaide, and it looked pretty easy to navigate, but it's like anything else, you know, you buy a new laptop and things are in a different position. You soon get used to that. The switch gear is pretty good, and it's obviously been cloned off a lot of the, you know, European stuff like the BMW. I really like the wide handlebars, I think they're great. You don't get blind spot mirrors, but you know, you wouldn't expect to for 15 grand. But the mirrors are great. They're a little bit old school with these stalks, but there's plenty of visibility. What else? Oh, 20-litre tank, just I think it's 22 litres, something like that, and the tank's mounted quite low down, so that helps with the centre of gravity as well. So this one's been spec'd up with some, they're not aftermarket, they're sort of accessories, official CFMOTO accessories. It's got a luggage rack for panniers that I'll show you when we do a walk around. It's got a decent, I think it's a standard luggage rack on the back, which looks very much sort of like it came off a GS. Okay, we'll just hang a left here. Yep, out we go. I have to say, this thing is so nimble and it rides so nice. You just got to remember to get back down the gearbox, not like the BMW. You know, you need to keep this thing singing. But on the whole, it rides really nice. You know, and what's not to like? It's not my bike, I've been loaned it for nothing, and I'm enjoying being out on it. So one thing I would say is, you know, one of the dislikes that I picked up off another channel was that it's Chinese, and that it comes with some stigma. Well, you know, about 10 years before I started riding bikes, Japanese bikes, probably a bit longer actually, Japanese bikes had just been introduced into the market, and everybody called them Jap crap. But now Japanese bikes are, you know, they're the norm, and I think that Chinese bikes will become the norm as well. I mean, how many times do you jump into an Uber and it's Chinese, and the build quality is pretty good. Well, I certainly picked some nice roads and a great day to do this. Man, I'm loving this bike so far. What a great bike. So talking to the GM at Moto Adelaide, he said they just can't get their hands on these quick enough. You know, he gets them in and they're flying out the door. This is the only one he's got left, and this is a demo which he's lent me. And at $15,000 or just under, you know, you can't blame people for going for something like this. Okay, we'll hang a left. I have to say, I definitely feel like I need to keep this in a low gear. It feels like I'm going to stall it, almost like in the old days when you got a bit of fuel starvation. So you'd have to adjust your riding style. But you know, if you're already riding something like this that's quite high revving, then that won't be a problem. I think I've just got a little bit lazy with my GSA. Now, another thing that I looked up with the MT, you can't adjust the screen while you're actually riding, because these things at the side, you have to undo them and then lift it up by hand. But they've changed that now, so as you can see, you can sort of scroll that up and down, which is probably another good feature. I think this has got heated grips, and I think it's got a heated seat, but don't quote me on that. If you know, leave me a comment down below, would you? Alright, just hang it right here. As you can see, it pulls fantastic. Oh, these are just the best roads for this bike. Or is this bike the best bike for these roads? Does that make sense? Definitely, if you're thinking about buying a sort of mid-range bike, I'd have a really good look at the CFMOTO. Don't let that sort of chop suey Chinese takeaway. Don't let those comments from the Jap fanboys and the German fanboys, don't let them put you off. Get down to Moto Adelaide. I'm sure they'll let you take one out for a test ride. Have a ride, see what you think. I just think this is great. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the CFMOTO MTX. Okay, so all black livery, as they used to say, and I'm actually loving the paint finish. is great. The graphics look cool. The decals, again, this is the 800 MTX. It's got a 21-inch front wheel, which is great, and they've fitted some accessory. These aren't aftermarket, they're actually CFMOTO, but these are the heavy duty sump guards, which are really cool. Lockie in the dealer printed me out a list, which I've got somewhere in my pocket. Okay, so if you buy one of these at the moment, you're looking at 14,990 before June 30, and then it goes up to 15,990 after June 30. So if you're in the market, you're going to save yourself £1,000 if you go and get down there now, or certainly get your order in. 95 HP horsepower. I'm not sure what that is in kilowatts. I'll find out and I'll put it up on the screen here. And the dry weight is 220 kilos. And we're looking at a 22 litre tank, I think he said. As I mentioned, it's got the aftermarket bash guard on, the sump guard, and it's also got the, when I say aftermarket, they're genuine CFMOTO accessories, and it's also got the luggage rack on there. Now, I haven't scratched that, Lockie, that's got nothing to do with me, mate. Usual sort of stuff. You know, up front you've got twin discs, obviously. You've got a great luggage rack at the back. I think the rally seat is a heated seat, but I'm not entirely sure. I'll find out and I'll put that up on the screen there. One thing that I'm not used to is having keys these days. I'm used to a keyless ride, but at $15,000 I wouldn't let that put you off. Another thing that is really peculiar, I was riding along and I kept looking down at the screen with my visor down, it was fine. I could see the screen, no problem at all. But as soon as I lifted my visor up, because I'm wearing polarized sunglasses, it just went dark. So I'll just put my glasses in front of the camera and just see if that has any effect at all. So let me just see if that does anything at all. So I think you're getting the same effect there. So with the polarized sunglasses, without. So you might need to bear that in mind if you're going to buy one of these. And if you're like me, I like to have my visor up and wear glasses at low speed. Other than that, the switch gear is fantastic. The TFT looks great. It's about the size of an iPad or an Android sort of mini iPad or a tablet, Android tablet. The mirrors kind of have got that old school look to them, but they're great visibility. They don't shake whatsoever. As I mentioned, I really like the wide bars. I think they're great. And if we go and look at the screen, you can see that you can actually, and I think I demoed that as we were riding along, it's a bit clunky, but you can actually change that. You can alter that as you're riding along, whereas the MT you can't. You actually have to unscrew these, lift it up manually, and then tighten them up. It's got a great sort of beak on it, if you will, a little bit different from the Touring. One of the things that it doesn't have that you might want to consider putting on, this one doesn't have any aftermarket fog lights or auxiliary lights, but I'm pretty sure you could work something out to rig some up there, maybe a bracket underneath or whatever. There we go. So going through somebody else's dislikes, first off, it's Chinese. I don't think that matters anymore. You know, like the old saying, bloody Jap crap. But now no one ever says Jap crap anymore. Now you would say British crap, you know. They're just reliable. Same with German stuff. So I think certainly the younger kids wouldn't agree with that. I don't think you're going to get any grief. You might get some grief off the Japanese or the Ducati or BMW riders, but you know what? Who gives a shit?
How do you like that?
If you've got 15 grand and you want a great adventure bike, I wouldn't turn my nose up at this at all. TFT, somebody made a comment about finding it hard to navigate. Well, read the manual, duh. Finding neutral. I had my meme all ready to go. But I didn't have any problems whatsoever. The windshield adjustment, that came from an MT, not the MTX. And the agricultural quick shifter, no problems there whatsoever. Okay, let's talk about likes. Value for money. Well, I've been saying this for the last half an hour since I've been riding it. You know, the specs are fantastic for 15 grand, but be sure to get in there early before it goes up that $1,000. Comfort, rally seat. Again, I'll move the camera around. There we go. The rally seat is a one-piece seat. It's great for, you know, the adventure riding and for the lanes and country roads and whatnot, but you don't want a tour on it. So you go and buy the MT or you switch the seat over. I wouldn't say that that's a problem, although I did find it a little bit arse numbing after a while. The styling, I think the styling is awesome. I really do. I think it's great. Black, I don't normally like fully black bikes, you know, like triple black, but I still think it looks great. The engine, well, the engine is, to me, it just pulls like a steam train, as they used to say. That's probably a Top Gear cliche. And overall fit and finish, I think it looks fantastic. What would I do? I'd take this off and I'd put a performance pipe on, get it singing a little bit. But other than that, I think it's a fantastic bike. So in summary, it's a great bike. It really is. Can't thank Moto Adelaide, Lockie and Joel enough for lending it me for an hour. I've really enjoyed it. If you're in the market for something like this, get down and tell them I sent you. and I'm pretty sure they'll look after you. Anyway, that's all I've got for you today. Hope you've enjoyed the video. A little bit different format, a little bit quicker, shorter, and straight to the point. Anyway, as always, ride safe and have a great day.
Don't concentrate on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory.